to receive both the Young Professional and the Leadership Award. Sarah, thank you so much for hosting this event. I can't wait.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you for the kind introduction. Welcome, everyone. So exciting to have you here. Over 70 people have registered to listen and learn from 3 amazing women who I am just in awe of all of your accomplishments. So first, let me just say congratulations to Kalinthia, Claudia, and Ali. So honored to have the 3 of you on this program with us. And I want to acknowledge the Women in Business Committee. Thank you for your support of the Chamber of Commerce of the Palm Beaches. And we have people from government, our local universities, corporations, nonprofits joining us today. Welcome. And I would like to give a special welcome to one VIP from the ATHENA International Organization who has joined us on this program from Michigan, and that is Jan Davies McDermott. Jan, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And that leads me to just to give all of you, I guess if you want to call this a "you are here" dot on this roadmap, on this journey we are about to take. I want to give you just a quick background on the ATHENA Awards. As Rick mentioned, over 7,000 women, and yes, men, have received an ATHENA Award. This is a global movement. This isn't just here in South Florida. There are women and men who have received the ATHENA Award in the United States, Mexico, Canada, Europe, China, and India. And we are so privileged to have 3 of our powerhouse dynamos here with us today. And I want to mention too, I'm sending good vibes to everybody out there. I am wearing my ATHENA International Organization pin just to give us a little dash of good luck and good energy today. I know that all of you watching either from your home or your office have a Kalinthia, Claudia, and Ali's complete bio, so I'm not going to read you everything, but I'd be remiss if I didn't just cover the highlights of these 3 exceptional women. And Kalinthia Dillard, who is an attorney, I'm going to start with your bio. Kalinthia is General Counsel, Deputy Inspector General to the Palm Beach County Office of the Inspector General. She is the first female, we always love that, first female General Counsel, Deputy Inspector General to the Office of the Inspector General. She is the president of the Board of Directors of the YWCA of Palm Beach County. And for those of you who don't know, the YWCA works with victims of domestic violence. Kalinthia also serves on the board of the Forum Club of the Palm Beaches, which is Florida's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan, political and public affairs organization. Kalinthia was also the youngest president of the Cunningham Bar Association and president of the West Palm Beach chapter of the Lynx and the Virgil Hawkins Florida Chapter National Bar. Kalinthia has also been accepted into Leadership Florida, which is a statewide leadership program. I could go on and on about Kalinthia's accomplishments, both in the community and in the legal community, but suffices to say that this award, the Leadership Award, well-deserved, Kalinthia. Our next recipient is Junior Achievement of the Palm Beaches and the Treasure Coast. And I just want to make mention to Jan Davies McDermott. The Treasure Coast encompasses several counties just north of us. And the president of Junior Achievement of the Palm Beaches and the Treasure Coast is Claudia Kirk Barto. And JA serves kindergarten through 12th grade students. JA, which many of you are familiar with, it teaches entrepreneurship, workplace readiness, and financial literacy. And of course, like many of us, we have all, and here's one of these pandemic words, we've had to pivot, right? We are here virtually, and that's the same thing Junior Achievement has had to do. Instead of having the students in these programs in classrooms, they are now participating in Google Classrooms. And there are over 700,000 students who have and participate in JA. And I know one of Claudia's goals, JA's goals, is to reach more than 40,000 more students virtually. which is an ambitious goal, but Claudia, I know you, and you are going to be able to accomplish that. And so congratulations to you, Organizational Award to Junior Achievement. And last, but certainly not least, Soule, our 2020 Young Professional recipient. And I just want to say to all of you out there, I have seen the credentials of all of these women. Again, I am in awe. And Allie, you are the Chief of Staff of Brightline, which is a privately owned multi-billion-dollar high-speed rail company right now servicing the West Palm Beach to all the way down south to Miami. And very soon, I know that there will be a very needed link to the Orlando area as well. Allie has been with Brightline since 2012, so for 8 years, and she is responsible for leading developing the strategy of government, media, and community relations efforts, the design, launch, and construction of this real estate and transportation project. Allie oversees the company's safety outreach program and corporate social responsibility. Recently, again, promoted to Chief of Staff, so congratulations on that promotion. And she continues to lead Brightline's public affairs and advocacy efforts. Allie is a graduate of Leadership West Palm Beach, and that is the leadership program run by the Chamber of Commerce of the Palm Beaches. Allie, you are also a graduate of Leadership Florida and received in 2019 the PR Star of the Year, no surprise, from Gold Coast Public Relations. So congratulations again. Accomplishments amazing. This is why you are here. We want to gain insight, perspective from you. But before we get into that really deep dive, I think everybody watching would like to know just a little bit more about you. So I'm going to touch on just a couple of things. And the first thing, it's a quick question, and it's going to be a quick answer from each of you. And Kalinthia, I'm going to start with you, and would just like one word to describe yourself.
So one word, that's hard, but the first thing that comes to mind would be consistent. And if you would let me just go into why I picked that word. I'm a very structured person in the sense that if you go to my house, you see my closets, my cabinets, they're all organized in a certain way, and they have to stay that way. But in my volunteer life, as well as in my professional life, I always try to analyze any problem by starting with, how did we do it the last time? And so if I start with that baseline, I can always identify what worked, what didn't work, how can I grow and improve? And I think that consistency is, to me, the counter to randomness and chaos. So it kind of gives me, peace of mind. In my work life, I always think, how would I handle that problem if I didn't know who the players were? So I'm consistent in how I'm dealing with people based on the problem itself and not who the players are. So it gives me, like I said, peace of mind. It helps me order my thoughts, and it helps me figure out ways to grow and improve. So I don't say consistency is opposite, or it means I'm being stagnant. It just means that I have a place to grow and improve from there so that I'm always moving forward. So I would say, yeah, consistency.
Thank you. All right. Allie, what about you? What's your one word?
Well, thanks, Sarah. I thought about this, and I'm not one of just one word. I'm somebody of many words. Kind of what Kalinthia said, it's hard to figure out that one word. But the one that I would use to describe myself is passionate. I think that passion is one of the most important things that people can bring to a relationship, whether it be business or personal, a friendship, to the work that they're doing, both in the office and outside of the office, in the community, and then also just in your personal life and keeping yourself both physically and mentally healthy. And so I personally strive to put passion into all of those things. It can be exhausting, but I do think that that's important.
Well, I know you have boundless energy, so I've never known you to be exhausted, Allie. All right, so we have consistent, we have passionate, we have Claudia, Kirk, Barto. Who are you?
Well, again, I couldn't find one word, but I'll just add a few letters to Allie's and say compassionate. So I think that that's the one word that describes me the best. And I think most people would say that about me. So I won't go on because I know we have lots of questions, Sarah.
We do, but thank you. So, okay. So I would like to ask just one more question. So before we get into your pragmatic advice that I know we are all eager to hear from you, one more question just about who you are. And I think to gain some insight into that, I'd like to ask you for one person who you feel has influenced you the most in your life. And Claudia, I'm going to start with you this time.
Good heavens, you're our troublemaker.
I know.
I would probably say my father, and just because I'm able to go from fish fries to black ties, I think I'm comfortable in any situation. And I'd say that because I've been in so many different situations and everyone has a story. So I think that goes back to my compassionate, because I listen and hear people's stories and then engage with them. So I think my dad has been the biggest influence.
All right, that makes good sense. Oftentimes our parents are our mentors and our heroes, so I understand that. All right, Allie, I'm going to ask you, one person in your life who has influenced you.
So I feel like Claudia and I we're mirroring.
Simpatico, yes.
I would just say my mom. So I'm very blessed. I have both my parents I love tremendously, but obviously my mom, has really just taught me about staying true to myself and to who I am and to the values that she instilled in me. And then also, and I mentioned this, she's also talked to me and told me about how to take a chance. And so she's really one of the reasons that I credit to moving. I moved to Miami after I graduated from college and knew absolutely no one. And my mom was so supportive and told me that I should do it because you never know where it may lead. So I definitely credit my mom for that.
You took a chance, you took a risk, and succeeded. Again, why you are our young professional ATHENA recipient. All right, Kalinthia, what about you? Who has influenced you?
I said I was consistent, so I have to follow the trend and go with
okay.
my mom.
Okay.
Go with my mother.
We have a parental theme here. Okay.
Right. So, my mom was definitely a woman of faith in God, and she had faith in people. And she believed in helping others. And the thing about her most, even though she's not with us anymore, she was my biggest cheerleader in life. So, I can remember writing an essay in the 9th grade about my role model. And I wrote about my mom, and I have no memory of what I actually said, but I know that all these years later, I would write about the exact same person. So definitely my mother.
Well, I go to the poet Maya Angelou, and I am paraphrasing Kalinthia, but it's not what they said, but it's how they make you feel, to your point. Yeah, so I think for a lot of us, it kind of gives a little tear in the eye, particularly if you have lost a parent. So thank you, Kalinthia, for that. All right, ladies, I'm gonna switch gears here, and we'd also like everybody watching either from your home or office, we hope to give you some takeaways. And one of those is, if you have a couple of devices with you, you're watching us on one, and maybe you have your phone or your iPad with you, I hope you will take a moment to look at ATHENAinternational.org. ATHENA International Organization has recently updated their website, and the ATHENA tenets, 8 ATHENA tenets that embody ATHENA International are listed on there. And I'm also going to throw in a little, here's a grammar tip for you. These are TENETs, a core principle or belief, not a TENANT, which is the landlord-tenant relationship. So we are looking at TNETs, and you can find those on ATHENAinternational.org, which leads me to my next question. Now, I think, ladies, from what you've just said, I just have heard some of these tenets, these core beliefs that you've kind of alluded to in the 2 questions I've already asked you. And Claudia, I think we just lost you. So I hope, Kirby, you are going to bring Claudia back. I think we have a little technical difficulty. There you go, Claudia. You have.
No, we're just an energy efficient office and the lights dimmed.
Oh,
I didn't move.
okay. You didn't move. We need you to be more. We need you to be more animated. There you go. Keep the lights on. All right. If we have anybody from FPL watching, keep Claudia's lights on, please. So, ladies, ATHENA tenets. There are 8. Authentic self, relationships, giving back, collaboration, learning, fierce advocacy, courageous acts, celebration, and joy. And I do feel that the 3 of you do embody all of them, but would like to ask you what one really speaks to you. And I'm going to start with our fearless leader, Kalinthia Dillard. Which one of those 8 tenets is you?
So I think all of them are great, but the one that stuck out in my mind when I read through them was learning constantly. So, I've been an attorney for 22 years, and one thing you learn as an attorney, you never know everything. You learn how to find the answer. So I would say that for my professional life, but in my personal life, I read a lot. I spend a lot of time reading books about leadership. I read biographies because I want to learn about character and decision making. And, one thing I tell my daughter, I have an 11-year-old daughter, I want her to appreciate learning for the sake of learning. And I tell her, every night when she goes to bed, I want her to know one thing that she didn't know when she woke up that day. So, the philosophy that I'm trying to instill upon her is, always learn something new, know that you have an opportunity to grow and improve, and be curious, be intellectually curious, and always ask questions and know where to go to find those answers.
Kalinthia, words to live by. Thank you. Soule, I'm going to go to you and ask what of those 8 ATHENA tenets speaks to you?
Thanks, Sarah. And I would say, like Kalinthia, I think all of them, they have an impact, but the one that speaks the most to me is building relationships. I think that building meaningful relationships with people is one of the most important things that we can do both in a personal and a professional setting. You never know who you're going to meet, how you can help that person, how someone might be able to help that person, and vice versa. And I just think that having a genuine interest and a solid relationship can really go a long way. And especially in today's day and age where we are with COVID and, being separated from one another, having strong relationships and having people reach out and express like that emotion is really what a lot of people are looking for. And so I think building relationships is so important.
Thank you. All right, Claudia, what about you? ATHENA tenet.
Well, I second Allie, no doubt. Again, kindred spirit, but I'll go with fostering collaboration because I think, as the president and CEO of Junior Achievement, we can't do what we do without the collaborations within the community. As the president of the West Palm Beach Rotary, I would say the same thing. So, really in everything that I do, those collaborations are so important. And obviously all of them, but I'll choose that one because Allie and I couldn't have the same one.
Well, you know what? I think all 3 of you embody all 8 tenets. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here with you today. So, and I wanted everybody who is watching, if you notice either to the side or just behind, and Kalinthia, I'm going to ask you to move just a little bit more because we want to see that beautiful award. I hope everyone is noticing. There's Claudia with the organizational award, that beautiful big diamond, my gosh almighty, Allie has, and the magnificent statuette that is behind Kalinthia. Kalinthia, could you do me a favor? Because I think I would like everybody watching just to see your award. Can you just pick that up and just bring that a little closer to the camera? Because I think there is kind of a glare. There we go. Magnificent. Thank you. Anyway, all of our ATHENA recipients. So ladies, I'm going to get to the heart of the matter, the title of this program. What advice would you give your younger self? And as an aside, I don't know if the 20-something-year-old me would have listened to the 40-something-year-old me anyway, but maybe you are wiser than I am. So I'm going to start, Kalinthia, I'm going to go back to you. You know, what would you have told yourself? And I'm curious, would you have listened? Would you have listened?
I don't know if I would have listened, but at this age, looking back, I would have told my younger self to take more chances. I also would have said, learn to be your own best advocate. And I think sometimes it's hard, especially for women, to want to kind of toot your own horn, to brag about yourself, because you think if I do the right things, I go to school, I do a good job, put my head down, people will notice. But sometimes when you want to advance, you know, to that next position, or, you know, maybe get noticed for that, whatever recognition you may have, you know, your heart set on, sometimes you have to let people know you're in the room and be willing to speak up for yourself and let people know what you bring to the table and what value you add to the team.
So the tenet of fierce advocacy, yes?
Yes.
But you have to be your own advocate, and throw in the word fierce, because I think sometimes we all need to do that too. Yeah, good advice. Claudia, what about you, President, CEO of Junior Achievement?
I don't know if I would have listened to myself, but
we're all a very stubborn group, aren't we?
I think I definitely, I loved what Kalinthia said, but I think living authentically I would definitely say doing that, believing in myself. And I look at my daughter now, who's 13, and 13 is a tough age, and trying to figure out who you are and what you want to be, it changes just within, you know, as they grow. And so I think to my younger self, I would say, you know, believe in yourself, live authentically, and don't let people tell you who you are.
Got to find that out for yourself. Yeah. Okay. Allie, I almost feel funny asking you this question as our young professional, but hey, we wouldn't be talking to you if you didn't have some sage advice. Perhaps I know we have some younger professionals watching today. So what are your thoughts on that question?
Well, I think what everybody said is, I agree with that. And I don't think I would have listened to myself, give myself the advice for sure. But I would say two things. The first I would say is like stress less, right? Like if you go on vacation for 5 days to visit your family, like your job, your company will survive without you. And for a really long time, I put a lot of pressure on myself that if I did anything that wasn't work related, that I was letting my company down. And that wasn't the case. It was all self-inflicted. And so I just would encourage people to think like that and to stress less. And then also just you're your own worst critic, and not everyone is always criticizing you all the time. In fact, most people aren't even thinking about you. And I used to suffer from thinking people were criticizing me or doing this. And in fact, I was the one who was criticizing myself. And so I would say stress less and take it a little bit easy on yourself. You have to hold yourself to, you know, your standards and your morals, but that doesn't mean knocking yourself down at every chance that you get. And so that would be some of the advice that I would give my younger self, and I still give my not so young, but younger self.
You're younger than the three of us. So yeah, you're young, Allie. You're young, we promise. Well, very insightful and sage advice. So thank you. And that really leads me in a sense to the elephant in the room. Allie, you had mentioned that, and I want to talk about stress. I mean, pandemic, racial and social justice protests, an economy right now that has shown great disparity in who it favors and disfavors. Some people extremely hard hit over others. And so I'm going to make this analogy. When you're on a plane and the flight attendant says, if cabin pressure drops, there will be an oxygen mask that drops from the ceiling. And remember to put your own oxygen mask on before you help others, right? So this question really is focused on the three of you in terms of the stress that's going on right now and how you handle that. So I would like to ask you, what coping mechanisms do you use in order to handle that stress, both personally and professionally? And Claudia, I'll start with you on that question if I can.
That's funny you would start with me, because I feel like I'm I'm the worst at it, and I think
oh,
it's
come
just,
on. You have work. I mean, you've got kids, you've got a big job, you've got, you've got to find some balance. Yes.
I think, yes, I think the balance is balance, right? And trusting the team that you work with. We got the organizational award because I trusted the team. I trusted Katie to run our programs and to take our organization in a different direction. I trusted Gina, who's on this call as well, to go out and go after other funders and talk to our funders about different things. So I think that that was important, and to be flexible with them and their families and their situations. I think that that was really important, to listen to them. But for me to take care of myself, I think it's walking and enjoying the time that you have. So even if it's little things, even if it's like taking pictures of the flowers as you're walking the dogs. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but I look back in my camera roll and that was there. I would go to the beach in the morning with my daughter to watch the sunrise. So simple things, but the little things are really important during that first part of the pandemic.
Okay. Kalinthia and Ali, either one of you wish to share some coping mechanisms?
I've done a couple of things to kind of deal with what we've been addressing since March. I'm kind of a news political junkie, so I've had to force myself to watch the news in moderation. I don't argue with people on Facebook at all. I post a lot, but that's an opportunity for me to share things that are important to me, not an opportunity to argue about differences. And also, I think people can cope by finding something that's important to you and getting involved in that. Like you mentioned, we've been dealing with some of the issues with racial and social injustice. Find something that's important and do something big or small. That way you can feel like you're part of the solution as opposed to just an observer of all the problems that we see every day. And as Claudia said, find something to do to relax, exercise, walk, or what have you.
Okay. Good. Ali, I don't know, it sounds like we've kind of covered the gamut there, health and wellness and mindfulness. I don't know if, I don't want our viewers to think I've left you out, but.
I agree with everything.
Okay, agree and okay, very good. Well, Claudia, I think you've already touched on this. So I will ask Kalinthia and Ali if either one of you would like to give us your input. How have you adapted your business practices during the pandemic? Well, again, I think everybody watching, we want to learn from you, and I think part of it too is some reassurances to everybody watching. You're not alone, right? Even though we are separated physically, I think intellectually and emotionally, I think many of us are thinking and feeling the same thing. So I toss that to Kalinthia or Ali if you have a comment on that.
Sure, I'm happy to go first. I read this in an article, so it's not mine, but I read that somebody said, it's okay to be okay. And that really resonated with me because there's a lot of pressure on everybody, but I think women in particular, to always be on, to always be, showing up, to always be there. And everybody has a down day. Everybody has a down moment. And it's okay for that to happen, especially in the situation that we're in a global pandemic where we're not connected to each other, in person. And I think just being forgiving of yourself and accepting goes a long way toward helping you, emotionally and then also obviously physically. And so after reading that, I've tried to incorporate that just into my life when I haven't been having the best day, and just not to be too hard on myself.
Okay, fair. Kalinthia.
I think from the standpoint of business practices, I think, I work for the government, but we're having to adapt just like everybody else, technology. We're not seeing each other as much face to face, but Zoom has been a wonderful tool. Mm-hmm. And I think we've had to come up with creative solutions. Even in the nonprofit world with some of the organizations I've work with. So, we've had to figure out different ways to connect. We've had to be flexible in how we deal with each other, how we schedule things, how we resolve problems. And, I think, I'm lucky that, I've had a great team around me, and we've worked together to try to address some of these issues that all of us are facing so that we can continue being productive and address the things that we do in our work, but also understanding the conditions that we're living in right now.
All right. Well, we are in this together. We really are, even though we are separated. And so thank you. I think I hope that gives some assurance to everybody who is watching. I would like to ask a business question, and I know we have quite a number of young professionals, and maybe there are some people who are watching who perhaps they're even seeking a change right now in terms of what they're doing professionally. And I know all of you have very huge responsibilities. You do have the capability, excuse me, within your roles to hire and fire and promote. And so I just want to ask you, and whoever wants to jump in, that's fine. What qualities and characteristics do you look for when you're hiring somebody? And then what makes a person stand out in terms of when you make that decision to promote? And I'll throw that out to the three of you if anybody wants to give me a wave on that. Kalinthia or Claudia? Claudia?
Okay, I see that I usually would defer to Kalinthia because she's awesome and amazing.
She is.
However, I guess I'll jump in. I look for somebody that's flexible, right? Somebody that's going to be able to embrace changes as they come. And, during this time, unfortunately, not everyone on our team was able to do that. So that was challenging, but I think it presents opportunity, right? For people to move up and change positions or be promoted or take new jobs. I mean, look at what you're passionate about and really embrace that, because I do think as challenging as these times are, we can, there are opportunities. People are getting hired, they're changing positions. And I think going back to collaboration and building relationships, I think that's using your relationships, staying connected with those people, networking is really important. Whether it's on LinkedIn, I agree with Kalinthia. I'm not getting into politics. I'm trying to stay away from the news, not to bury my head in the sand, but really constantly learning too, and being open to learning new things, and that we have to be, in pivoting into this new environment. I'm not the best at Google, but I had to create the Google Suites. I had to set them up with our team. I mean, stuff that I am not your techie person, I would call a friend, but I had to walk through that and be willing to walk through that.
Kalinthia, did you want to add?
Yes, I do agree with Claudia that flexibility is important. I'll also look for someone who can problem solve and has great critical thinking skills. I look for someone who understands conflict resolution, because when you go into a new work environment, you encounter people who think differently, and we want that diversity of thought, but we also want people who can navigate those differences and reach resolutions. So I would say critical thinking skills, conflict resolution, and someone who's always open to learning new things and new approaches to problems.
Okay.
I'd go back to being a team player, right? To being willing to work as a team and navigate those conflicts that come up.
All right. Kirby, I see that you have rejoined us. So that is my cue that we are switching to Q&A from our audience. Is that right?
Yes, it is. So if everybody would like to put their questions in the chat box, we will get to as many of those as we can. We are going to try to do some self-introductions at the end. So we do welcome you to stay on for that as well. So again, put your questions in the chat and we will get to those right now.
Okay, so it looks like, and I've been kind of seeing some of these things pop up, and thank you for several of you who have given some wonderful, I hope you ladies can see that, some just wonderful comments, great feedback. They have enjoyed your presentation, as have I. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us. Here's one. With more remote working, ladies, is that an asset or a liability for you? Who wants to take that one on?
I'll start.
Okay.
Definitely, it's been an asset, right? Because people can work from home, they can work remote. And I think it's a liability because we're working from home. And so we're constantly available. So sometimes you can't run to the ladies' room or get lunch in between meetings because you are back to back. So I think that that's a liability and a challenge. And I think the third part as an asset for junior achievement is that we were able to partner with the school districts and meet them where they needed to be and be an asset for them to deliver programs to the students right when the schools shut down on March 13th. We were up and ready to go quickly for them.
Okay, well, again, it goes to flexibility that you had mentioned as well. So Kalinthia or Ali, either one of you want to take that on, asset or liability, all of our Zooming?
I think it's an asset as well. I think it obviously allows people to be flexible. And the one thing that always comes up when you're talking about working remotely is productivity. And, I think if you have the right team around you and everyone knows what their assignments are, you can be productive if you're in the office or if you're at home. And if you have the right leaders in place, you can have productivity measures so that you make sure that everybody is, on track to accomplish what you hope to accomplish as an organization. And you have an open line of communication between the employees and their supervisors. So I definitely think if you have the right pieces in place, it's an asset to your business, or it has been for us.
Okay, very good. Well, again, the three of you embody all 8 tenets, so I would expect nothing less from the perspective that you are giving us. And Kalinthia, I see a question from one person here. It says it's talking about the difference between face-to-face and Zoom. If you could tweak that a little bit more, any additional, sometimes things are lost, I guess, when we're doing this virtually. So is there anything additional you feel that you do in terms of asking other questions or follow-up or anything else that I guess the rest of us need to keep in mind because we're trying so hard, right, not to lose that engagement online?
So the question is, what is it?
Just in terms of the differences and how do you handle that to try to overcome that particular, even though it's an asset. I think what the person is trying to say here in this question is there is a little something that's lost in the nuances, right, if you're not face to face, and how do you try to overcome that hurdle?
Well, I will say, I do miss the face-to-face. I do miss the, I'm someone who likes to, shake hands, hug on occasion. And, because of what we have going on right now, we don't have that. However, I think it's a benefit in that even though we can't meet face-to-face, we can regularly, engage via Zoom. It's better than, I think, telephone conferences because you can see one another. You can set them up as a group. You can set them up one-on-one. So I think it brings value from that standpoint. Obviously is different, but it can also be used as a great, resource in the times that we're in right now.
Okay, great.
And I honestly think that once we get past this period, we will continue to use these type of interactions to some degree. You don't have to, travel to a different city to engage with clients, let's say. It'll never replace the face-to-face, but there will be opportunities will be beneficial and convenient depending on the circumstances of the meeting that you're trying to hold.
Okay, very good. Yeah, Claudia, go ahead. Yes.
I would just add 2 things. One, I think it makes me more aware of, because I don't have a poker face sometimes, so a reaction to somebody's comments, you have to be aware of what you're doing on camera. I think much more so in this situation, at least it makes me more aware. And then secondly, I think it brings an opportunity to log into meetings that you may not have been invited to in the past. So opportunities to know the players in the community. Again, a lifelong learning opportunity.
Yes.
Out there and see who are making the decisions. So you can
Right.
do more networking in some ways.
Thank you for sliding in an Athena tenet of learning. Appreciate that. Good, Claudia. All right, I have a question here from attorney Celicia Smith-Gordon, and this is to everyone, so whoever wishes to jump in. How do you find balance of promoting self and self-advocacy to have a seat at the table when the organization is not, and this is in quotes, is not ready for diversity change in gender or race? Anybody want to tackle that one?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
Alicia.
Right.
Well, I think, no matter what the organization or institution is, they're always looking for ways to grow and improve and to provide whatever service they offer. So if you can present yourself in such a way to say, I am someone, I may be a female or I may be a minority, what have you, but I add value to what you are doing. So if I have an opportunity to show you where I can provide that value or where I can fit into what you're doing, I think that changes the dynamics of the communication, the conversation, and that really opens the door to maybe looking at potential employees or partners that they may not have been thinking about prior to that conversation.
Thank you. Okay.
If I may, Sarah.
Yes, please, Allie.
With Kalinthia, and going back actually to what she said about the hiring, I think that if you can promote yourself as a problem solver, right, that goes a long way in the way that people look at colleagues in the workplace. Too many times people come and present problems, but they don't offer a solution. And I think that you can really distinguish yourself by, if you identify a problem, having a potential solution, and maybe it's not the right solution, but it at least shows that you have the initiative and that you're thinking on how you can solve a problem rather than just identifying the problem and having somebody else take it on as their responsibility.
Ladies, excellent advice. I mean, again, this is why you are our 2020 Athena Award recipients. I hope our committee has gotten so much out of this presentation, and I am going to turn it back over to Kirby. Kirby has popped up on the screen, which means our time for questions is up. Ladies, we could talk all afternoon, but thank you so much. I mean, this meant a lot to me. I am so excited on a personal note just to be able to engage with the three of you, and thank you for sharing your insights and your time. Kirby.
Yes, well, I do want to again say thank you to all of you for joining us today. It has meant so much to so many people, and I've learned a lot being a young professional myself. So thank you, ladies, for being here. We are going to be breaking out into some breakout rooms to do some networking. So everybody, if you would like to stay on, once we get into the breakout rooms, I do want to encourage you to turn on your cameras and participate and introduce yourself. We're going to have you say your name, title, and company, and then depending on time, you might have a little bit of more time to talk. So again, we are going to break you out into rooms right now, so you will be getting those invitations on your screen. And once you get that, just accept it and go to those rooms. I see a few of you turning on your cameras now. Hi, and welcome everybody. It is so good to see faces.
Yes.
All right, Michelle, let us know when you are ready. Okay, I am going to do...
I was just going to ask, are each of us going into a different room, Kalinthia, Allie, and I?
I am going to do that right now. So yes, if y'all can stay just for a few minutes. I know y'all are super busy, but again, if you could
we can stay till 1, right?
Okay.
We can stay till 1, and so you'll put the 4 of us in separate rooms. We'll leave that to you, Kirby.
Yes,
Okay.
and everybody should be getting a invitation here pretty soon. So again, hang with me while I get these all situated and get everybody put into different rooms. So I apologize. Okay. You should be going now. So if you would just go into your rooms. Sue Jones, Michelle Soccer. Sorry, I was muted. I forget it does that to me every single time. So again, thank you for joining us today, and thank you, Rick, Sarah, Kalinthia, Claudia, and Allie for taking time out of your busy day to speak to the Chamber and the Women in Business Committee. Our next meeting will be Thursday, November 12th from 12 to 1. I hope to see you all there. And with that, we will be saying goodbye. So bye, everyone, and thank you so much.
Bye.